In this video, we're going to talk about a very typical accounting task that is a total pain in the butt, which is consolidating financial statements. For some background, assume that I exported a profit and loss from QuickBooks, and I did it for each of my entities. So I got this entity called Sample Law Firm that has a net income of negative $251. We have this other company called Company 1, also multiple pages, with a net income of $50,000. And then I have Company 2, multiple pages, with a net income of $225,000. So if I had 3 PDFs of 3 different companies, 3 different financial statements, that would be a very painful process to do. Most of the times we will go to Excel and try to do a lot of manual work. So what I'm going to attempt to do is use multiple AI. So we're going to use ChatGPT, we're going to use Claude. These two are the top American AI services. We're also going to use Deepseek and Quen, which these two are the top Chinese based systems. Now, Deepseek and Quen, they're both free. I'm not paying for them. ChatGPT, I do pay $20 a month, and Claude, I do pay $20 a month. So I'm going to be using the paid versions of AI for ChatGPT and Claude. Now, quick disclaimer, I want to psychologically prepare you for the following. I'm going to be going back and forth in this, and it might be a little bit confusing. Make sure you hit the pause button and kind of follow along. I will be telling you when I'm switching to Deepseek or to Claude or to Quen or to ChatGPT. For the sake of expediency, I'm going to be running all the AIs at the same time, and I'm going to cut the amount of video editing very short. That way you get to see in real life what exactly is happening. Beyond that, some of these things are going to get wrong. It's going to get confused. It's going to get screwed up. And this video is not about showcasing what it can do. It's just to be as realistic as possible. So when you're testing it yourself, you also are ready and prepared to do a lot of troubleshooting to get this to work. This is why this video is going to be pretty long, because you're going to see all the troubleshooting. You're going to see all the processes that I go to. And it'll give you some insight into like sort of the mad scientist mind that I have when I work with AI, which is I go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's going to be a little bit advanced. So I apologize for that up front, but you can always go back, rewatch, pause, that sort of thing. So I'm going to start by asking ChatGPT what prompt to use. I typically, when I first get started with a big task, and it's something that you learn over time as you master working with AI, is you want to ask it what prompt to use. Now, I'm going to just speak into the microphone, use the voice to text functionality that my Mac has. You have to find out if your PC would have that too. And I'm just going to kind of explain to it what I want to do, and I'm going to have it create a prompt for me. Now, you're going to notice that I'm going to add a lot of little notes to that prompt. These are the growing pains of fighting with this thing until you get an actual result. So I'm going to talk to it now. I'm going to tell it to give me a prompt. My goal is to have you generate a consolidated profit and loss report where every separate entity, which I'm going to send as a PDF profit and loss, will be a column. And in the last column, it will be a total or consolidated amount. The profit and loss should contain all of the detailed accounts that you get from the PDF reports, and you should do math to check and double check that all the subtotals make sense all the way to the net income of each one. I would prefer that before doing the consolidation, double check with me, the user, that you read the net income from each of the companies correctly. So give me a prompt that would help me achieve that in a single swoop. Okay, perfect. So I basically talked to it. I gave it very loose instructions, and I'm going to have that convert into a prompt. Okay, so this prompt that gives me, that's the one that we're actually going to use. Now, you probably should, whenever you do this, read the prompt, make sure that it understood your instructions correctly. I'm just going to assume that it did. So I'm going to copy that prompt, and that's going to be the official prompt that we're going to use across the board with all of the AI systems. So let me start with a brand new chat, and I'm going to go ahead and paste that prompt in there. And then I'm going to click on upload files, and then I'm going to grab those 3 documents that I have in my computer. Those are those 3 financial statements that I mentioned earlier, these 3 PDFs here, okay, that I just uploaded to it. So I'm just going to wait until that finishes uploading and hit send. and see what happens. So we're just going to be patient. We're going to let it do its thing. Again, I am using the paid version of ChatGPT because I am in ChatGPT 4.0. You might be able to do this with the free version, but again, I haven't used the free version in a very long time. $20 a month is pretty much a steal for the amount of power that it is, so I don't mind paying it. So, I mean, as you try this on your own, if you don't have the paid version, you will have to double check. So now it's telling me, okay, these are the 3 net income amounts. So I told it to have me to ask me first. So the first one is negative 251.84. That is accurate. Okay. The next one is 50,839.91. That's accurate. And then the last one is, let's see, 225,303.95. Okay, that's good. So at pass go, I want to make sure that at least we have that baseline. So let's say, yes, let's go ahead. Okay. And then we'll have it do its thing. While these things, I'm going to simultaneously go to Claude and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to paste the original prompt. I'm going to select the 3 files that I want to upload, grab the 3 profit and loss reports, and hit send. Okay, there we go. Send on that. And then I'm going to go to Deepseek and then grab all 3 of the documents, same thing. And I'm going to use the best version, which is this Deepseek R1. So I'm going to click on that and then I'm going to submit that as soon as it figures out those PDFs. So we'll go ahead and paste the prompt in there and then hit on send. So I got all the AIs working for me as we speak. Let's go back to ChatGPT. So here's the result from ChatGPT. The first pass at this, it did Consolidated and it did Simplified. Let's expand this. So it looks like it did total net income for each one and then Consolidated, which is good, and then gross profit for each one, and then the net income for all of it. So that's actually good. It did a real basic thing. It didn't include all the detailed accounts. So let me just now tell it, now give me a version where you include every single detailed account and also sort them by descending amount. So the total expenses is the highest expense and the lowest expense amount is all the way in the bottom. Okay, so let's send that. And I know my instructions were a little quirky, but again, I'm trying to get to the point where we are simulating sort of the real world where just as humans, flawed humans, we're talking to the AI and having it do things. So while ChatGPT it's doing its thing, I'm going to go over to Claude and see what Claude did. So Claude did detect the correct income accounts, but it also detected that the periods were different. So interestingly enough, ChatGPT didn't immediately detect that, hey, your reports are actually kind of wacky, right? You're consolidating something that says all dates with something that says January to December 24 and something that says something about 25. So I'm just going to tell it, net income is good and ignore dates, assume it's all 2024. Okay, let's do Jan to December 2024. So these are essentially the 2 things that it's asking me to check. And then it says the chart of accounts differs. So we're going to say it's okay that there are accounts that do not belong to the other entities. It will just be a blank or 0 amount. Okay, so again, AI is thinking through the problem and trying to get me the best possible results. So I got now Claude working. So we're going to go back into ChatGPT and ChatGPT is still thinking. Okay, that's good. Perfect. That's fine. No problem. We'll be patient with ChatGPT. Let's go into Deepseek. Let's see what Deepseek came up with. So Deepseek came up with, and it looks like it rendered the statement for me. It checked that there was the net income, but there's a problem with the net income, okay, because expenses are not fully detailed, which is not true. So I'm actually going to tell it to double check the form that there are 2 pages. So I think maybe it got tripped up because there's 2 pages. So I'm going to put here sample law firm has 2 pages, and net income is on page 2. Double check. Okay. So obviously Deepseek got stuck somewhere because it didn't read a page right or whatever. So let's see if ChatGPT is ready. ChatGPT is ready. There we go. Here's my financial statement. That it's a table. It's not that clean, but it looks like it gave me the right information. I would have to then double check and do the math and that sort of thing. So let me uncollapse this and then say, give me a formatted page, not a table. Make all the subtotals and totals bold. Okay. And then basically I'm giving it instructions to format it a little bit prettier for me. So now you're going to see a different style of formatting. Actually, not really happy about this style that is doing it. Maybe it assumed that we're just consolidating the whole thing. So I'm going to have it stop and I'm going to say, I still want it to be a table where every entity has a column, but I want it formatted pretty. Okay, let's see if that works. I said the word table, and the word table kind of trips up AI because table actually means a square table. Let's go back to Claude. Sometimes it gets tripped up and says there's an error in the process. Just tell it, try fixing it with Claude, and it'll try to run the code again. Okay, let's go back into ChatGPT and see what it did. Okay, let's maximize this. It didn't do the bold, but it added a little asterisk, so maybe that's its way of bolding stuff. So here's the total income for each one, and the construction income, then the cost of goods sold, the net income. This is all trippy. I think I gave weird instructions. Format this like a standard profit and loss. Ignore my weird formatting instructions about descending order. Let's get consolidated financial statements that are clean for me to submit it to the board. Okay, let's see if maybe with instructions like that, it goes back to sort of a default. Again, AI is going to interpret the weird instructions the way I gave it. It didn't understand what I meant, but it did some weird sorting in there. So let's see if now it'll catch that. Let's go back into Claude. Let's try fixing the code again, see if that works. And then while that does that, let's go into Deepseek and see if Deepseek did anything. Oh, server busy. Dang, Deepseek, you're weird like that. Okay, let's check out Quen, which is the other Chinese AI. Let's see if we go back with the same original prompt. Let's go back to the original prompt that we had ChatGPT create for us. And let's see if Quen does anything interesting. Let's upload the 3 profit and loss. And okay, it's got to be one at a time. So let me just tell it. I'm going to upload 3 separate documents and then give you instructions. Okay, so let's do it one at a time because Quen, for some reason, it stops it as it only allows you to upload one at a time. So it's kind of annoying. So we'll just keep doing this and then see if it doesn't analyze. Okay, good. And let's do the third one. Okay, and then I'm going to paste the instructions and have it the prompt, and let's see if it does the analysis now. Let's see what that comes up with. Let's go back into ChatGPT. Let's see what we got. So now it looks like it's formatted a little bit better. So I got my construction income, I got my legal income, I got all my income and then all my net income up here. That's great. Then we have our job related expenses, job labor, and then at some point I have a cost of goods sold, and all the way down to net income. Then we gotta just tell it that net income needs to be in the bottom. So let's just tell it net income needs to be in the bottom. I really tripped it up with those weird instructions, right? So let's delete that. So let's see if it figures this out. Let's go back into Claude. Okay, beautiful. Claude did something. So Claude has my financial statements, and so far looks like Claude is the prettiest one. What I really like about Claude is it has this concept of, it's called artifacts, where in the left-hand side, you're doing sort of the chatting and the coding. And on the right-hand side, it does a preview or a renders it. So that you actually can click on code and see the full code. But when you click on preview, you see a more a cleaner format. And what's cool about this is you can click here where it says publish, and then you can click on publish and copy. And then you have this link that you can literally send to anyone, to your client or whatever. And I'm just opening an incognito window. So you see that I don't have to be logged in into Claude. And then they come in here and it's like published. So now this information is published in here, and then you can send anyone with a link the information. So far, Claude gave me the cleanest one. It looks like it missed an expense somewhere, okay? Because it's not perfect. And again, not focused on accuracy right now. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, Hector, if accuracy is not there, this is useless. I'm giving you a glimpse into this world. Once people figure out the perfect prompts, and as you can tell, you give a weird prompts, it behaves weird. But once programmers and even other accountants create these perfect prompts, it's going to catch everything, right? I mean, we're just doing this on the fly. I'm not editing this video or anything like that. I'm kind of showing you that. I'm going to ask Claude to do one more thing. I want the render report for me to be able to collapse the major account categories. So it's a collapsible report by income, cost of goods sold, expenses. I want to be able to collapse it. Okay. I'm just going to put here the word rendered. Okay, I meant rendered, not rental. And then let's send that. And let's see if it recodes it and it gives me collapsing functionality. Let's go back to good old ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT has. Let's go back. I'm going to go back into chat mode and say, give me a clean P&L with the columns to export to Excel. Net income is the last number at the bottom. And let's do it one more time. Make sure all the math works. Okay, let's see if we can now ask it to give me an Excel export and see if it behaves a little bit better. Of course, it started building the table. It got there, it got somewhere there, and then it just got really tripped up with all the sort of formatting and sorting issues. So let's see if with this last prompt we get the result we want in an Excel format. So so far so good. Claude's pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and publish this again so we can see the rendered edition of this. Let's look at this. I like looking at it incognito mode because it makes me it verifies that the data can be published. So let's see if we change the formatting a little bit. So the formatting is a little bit off. It looks like the collapsing works. It's pretty cool, but it looks like our company titles are sort of all over the place here. So we probably have to tell it to fix that. Actually, I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it, and I'll tell Claude. Yes, I'll tell Claude. I'll send it a picture, and I'll say the collapsing works well, but something strange in the formatting where the columns are not lined up with the company names. Okay, let's have it recode. So it'll recode that. Let's go back into ChatGPT and see what it got. So it redid this. And it says I created a profit and loss for easy formatting. Okay, I'll just tell it, give me the Excel file, please. Okay, so let's say, just have it give me the Excel file. Claude's probably still working here. Okay, it got stuck there somewhere. We could just tell it to, this happens a lot. It's sort of, the code gets stripped up. Let's go with Deepseek. Did Deepseek do anything else? Let's say, try again. Is Deepseek gonna work for me, or is it just gonna time out? Who knows? Let's see what Quen does. So Quen just said yes. Okay, so that's the prompt. Work with the PDF files. Okay, not sure why Quen got stuck there and just answering yes. Okay, okay, so now it's starting to do its thing. Let's let Quen do its thing. Let's go back into ChatGPT. Okay, there is my downloaded file. Let's see if we can download that and open up the Excel file. Okay, so it went back to sort of that default where it gives me the the high level numbers, right, with the high level accounts, which is not bad. I mean, so far so good. I can work with this, and you can give it the instructions and tell it to subtotal things or to bold certain things. I'm sure you can do all that. I'm gonna try one more time saying, perfect. Now I need all the accounts. Okay, so it made the decision to go to summarize. So now I'm just gonna tell it to expand and give me all the accounts. Let's see how this does. Let's open up the file. Okay, and now we have a new one. So let's see what this looks like. Let's reorganize this. Let's make this bigger. Okay, that looks like something. Again, I'm not even gonna try to double check the work here. We're just gonna look at this. So some stuff is off, like in this case, the net income, it put it in the wrong place. So I'm actually show it. I'm gonna show it, and I'm gonna tell ChatGPT that it's doing weird things. So I'm gonna give it a screenshot and have it sort of troubleshoot itself. So I'm gonna tell it the file opens perfectly, but the order is all jacked up. Remember, it needs to be income, then cost of goods sold, then operating expenses, then other income and expenses, then net income in the bottom. Okay, make sure that the Excel follows that format. And by the way, can you also create the little collapsible functionality in Excel as well? Okay, let's see if all these weird instructions lead up to something. Again, I know what you're thinking. You're like, Hector, you're like a madman here. You're switching across different AIs and you're giving it all these weird instructions. I'm just kind of showcasing how I play with this stuff because all these things sort of like something occurs to me and say, let me try this, let me try that. And I'm making AI work for me, right? Like I'm not saying you should work with AI the same way I work on it. I'm weird like that. This is how I work with it. Okay, let's see what this looks like now. So yeah, it looks like it's still struggling with a little bit of the format. Like for example, my net income it's here somewhere. It looks like the numbers are right, but it's just formatting things strangely. It is extracting stuff from the PDF, which is interesting. So that stuff doesn't work for me. And it brought in some collapsing features, but I think that it just did it at random. So that's kind of not useful or partially useful. So we'll probably quit with ChatGPT at this point. ChatGPT kind of disappointing. And again, maybe I gave it the wrong instructions. We'll see. We'll go back to that. Let's go back into Claude here. And let's publish this again and see what this looks like. Okay, and I like Claude a lot for this particular purpose because you can publish your work and you can showcase it in a website. So this is really cool. Look, now it figured it out. Now I have my 3 companies here. I got my consolidated. I can collapse each one. Look, this is a thing of beauty. Again, it missed something because net income is off. So not sure exactly what it missed, and I can go back and troubleshoot some more. And of course, at the end of all the troubleshooting, then what you do is you ask it to give you the prompt. So now I'm gonna say, so let's say this is perfect. I love this. This is actually the way I want it. So I'm gonna go back into Claude actually and say, okay, this rendered the exact perfect results that I wanted, comma. Give me now a single prompt that outlines every single thing that we did to get to this point so I can do it in a single request next time. Okay. So now it's going to just give me the prompt, right? And then we'll give it a try. So now it's going to give me the prompt. And again, what's really neat is we already did all the hard work, right? So that's the prompt now. So I'm going to click on copy. I'm going to go back into Claude, start a new chat. Just use the new prompt, grab my 3 financial statements, and next time I do this in the future, I already have my prompt. I will save that somewhere in a document somewhere, have my 3 financial statements ready to go. And then this in a brand new chat, because now we have the really nice prompt. And the documents, it should, in a single shot, give you what you need. So back to Deepseek. So we're going to throw away Deepseek. Deepseek was useless. Let's see if Quen has anything here. So Quen is doing stuff here. It looks like it's pretty interesting. So let's tell it now. Okay, perfect. Now give me a Excel of the consolidated report with all the columns with a really nice formatting so I can send it to the board. Okay. Okay, so we'll give him those instructions. I will see if Quen has any life here compared to the other two. So let's see. And by the way, Quen is from Alibaba. It's a Chinese company. It's kind of like the Chinese Amazon, and they created this, and so far it's free, which is pretty interesting. So now see, Quen is building it. So really, really powerful, it looks like. And there we go. And then I could click on this little export to CSV, and I can export that. I mean, Quen is still working at this point. Let's go back into Claude and see, boom, see, as you can tell, this was the one shot a prompt that we did. So that was a single shot prompt. I uploaded the documents. Let's see if it came out identical, if it came out similar. Let's see how it is. Yeah, it did. Perfect. There we go. Boom, boom, boom. Perfect. Now look at the net income got messed up again. So obviously there's something else I need to work on the prompt to check the math before we publish it. But it does get a little bit, it looks like it gets a little bit tripped up. In this case, it got tripped up in this one company got tripped up. The other two, company 2 and company 1, those are okay. And then it also changed the order. So I could just go back and clean the prompt and make sure to tell it consolidated goes all the way to the right. But so far, my favorite of all the AI tools to give me a published web version of my work, it is Claude. And then you can, if you have a web designer, or if you're designing an app, for example, if you're an accountant that's dabbling into app development, you bring your developer, you just give the developer the code and say, this is how I want it. And then the developer just does the geeky codey stuff. But then you, as the designer, as the thinker, you are the one that kind of like thinks through these things and works through these things without having to know any code. So it's pretty interesting. Let's go back into Quen. And Quen, okay, so Quen looks like it gave me some accuracy here. And this report looks really good, really interesting. So let's see if we can do, so let's tell it. Let's tell it to, let's go ahead and create the Excel file. Okay, let's see what Quen does. So we saw ChatGPT do something. It got kind of confused. In the summary, it worked pretty well. In the details, it got messed up. Maybe I gave it some weird instructions. Claude was really, really, really good. Some issues with the math at the end. And Quen at this point, it looks like it's working pretty well. And then let's see if it actually, okay, so it won't create the Excel file for me. It just tells me to copy and paste it. So unfortunately, this one in particular won't create the file explicitly like the way ChatGPT did. But I could just grab this information, I assume, and just copy and paste it into Excel. So we'll give that a try. Let's open up Excel here on the other side, or let's just do Google Sheets. I mean, might as well, right? Google Sheets or Excel, either one could work. So I'll bring Google Sheets over here, and then let's wait until this comes up. And look, for some reason, it got tripped up on the net income again. So, no, never mind. It didn't get tripped up on the income. Okay, so let's copy this. Let's go all the way up to the top. Let's see if this works. Come into Google Sheets, paste, boom, there we go. So then you just have to do a little bit of that formatting. So we'll zoom this in so you can see a little bit better. Okay, so that's I think that's the whole excursion into looking at this. Deepseek, for whatever reason, didn't turn out to work too well. But what I'll do is I'll grab this new prompt that Claude gave me, and I'll see if I start from scratch in ChatGPT. I don't want to give up on ChatGPT, and see if this will do that. Now, remember, ChatGPT doesn't render the financial statement, so we'll see if it uses the same, if it can do something similar. Let's see. So I give it a new prompt. Now it's going to be reading the documents, and let's see what it does. Now, it's anytime you see the word here, React component, that's talking about coding. HTML is talking about website coding. So in this particular case, it's going to write the code, and then we'll wait for it to finish, and then click on this preview output to see if it does it similar to the way Claude does. Okay, it looks like I finished coding. I'm going to click here where it says preview your output. Click on preview, and it looks like it can do something similar. Okay, here's the collapsing. Great. The net income works. I would just have to audit to see if all of the expenses are included here, because I remember there being a lot more expenses in there. So I'm not sure if it's collapsing data or what exactly is it doing. Maybe I'll tell it, add subtotals for each of the major categories and make sure the math works. Now we're gonna make it work for real. Instead of just throwing some numbers in there with clean subtotals, will it actually know what it's doing and give me the correct math? So as you can tell, you can see it right in front of you, how it actually starts rewriting the code. It's all happening right in front of you. It's rewriting the code. And again, it's doing code because it's rendering it in HTML format, in a format that's visually appealing, right? Because we kind of didn't like that table format. It was just really, it was challenging to follow. And the Excel export wasn't so good. So we're resorting to this new way of rendering the stuff, which is with code, which is interesting. Again, it's a new thing for accountants. So we're so used to doing things in Excel, but I think that in order for it to be friendly on a mobile device or an email or on a website, we're probably gonna have to resort to these HTML rendered type of things. So let's wait for it to code and then preview it one more time. Okay, so I finished coding. Let's do a preview. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we collapse these. I don't see the subtotals didn't seem to work. I wonder if it did anything different. It did add more expense categories, or it didn't. Okay, I didn't do anything. Added subtitles and ensure the math was accurate. Okay, but again, we'll leave it at that so we don't make the video any longer. The video is pretty long at this point. But in conclusion, this is as dumb as this stuff is going to be. This is going to get so much smarter, so much better. It's going to be available at people's fingertips. It might be available inside of your accounting software, where the developers don't really have to develop these things. They just have to create a conduit for the user to tell the software what it wants to do, and it can literally write its own code on the fly. So, they weren't kidding on the movies, in the catastrophic movies about AI eventually taking over the world and killing all humans or whatever because it can write its own code. But at this point, it sort of can. Right? It can write its own code. It still requires an oracle, right? It requires a person with a desire, a want, and a vision to say, this is what I want. So AI is not going to just say, you know what, I want to build consolidated financial statements. It doesn't care about that. It doesn't care about anything. It's just a machine. But we care about that. So the point here is that we have to learn how to use and manipulate these things so we can leverage them to our favor. And most importantly, so we can develop the software of the future. Us, the practitioners, the accountants, let us develop the software of the future. Don't let a bunch of nerds and eggheads tell us how we should use software. Like, we should, have a direct input and be able to view it on the fly, because I don't know about you, but I give tons of feedback to many software companies, and it takes forever to read the feedback or to respond that they're looking at it or to even understand it. I can imagine a world in a very near future where I sort of build my own systems, and this is kind of like what the start looks like. So anyway, if you like this content, one thing I'm going to strongly recommend is you join my event down in Miami. It's called REFRAME, and it's called Pricing with Confidence. So if you're an accounting professional and you're looking at AI and what's potentially going to do to our industry, and you're particularly worried about how you're going to price your services, how you're going to create value in a post-AI world as an accounting professional, this is the event for you. It's 2.5 days in Coral Gables in Miami, November 2nd to November 4th. And there's an optional smaller group day 3 on November 5th. ReFrameAccounting.com. I'll put the link in the description. I hope to see you in November. I hope you like this video. See you in the next one.